What? Rank 7. Peter's assistant was stunned. As Peter's assistant, he had been exposed to various knowledge that Peter shoved to him. One of them was naturally about the differences between the ranks and their slow advancement after reaching rank 4. Since more and more people advanced to rank 4, this matter was no longer a secret, and there were many people who had known about this. Of course, they were naturally a bit displeased about this matter. After all, everyone was hoping that they could become stronger as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, all returnees have the same answer. Impossible. Unless they obtained some kind of resources that could help them to speed up their practice, then they had to practice step by step in accordance to their profession. There was no direct shortcut for them to advance faster. Ha ha ha, yeah. Peter laughed as he grinned. Advancing to rank 7 required an advancement ceremony, which will take a few hours at least. Well, considering that all returnees are advancing to rank 7 for the second time, it's estimated that they can cut off this time by at least half. Since they already have the experience of advancing to rank 7, they didn't need to waste too much of their time. The more time they took to advance to rank 7, the more variable would there be in their advancement process. It would be better for them to advance as quickly as possible. Do you know who advanced? I don't know, Peter replied righteously. The assistant. But I can guess. Only Samuel or Ria could possibly reach the peak of rank 6 in such a short period of time, Peter said calmly. Why? The assistant was confused. Because these two people dare to enter the crack to look for resources on their own. I don't know what they found or what they experience, but if they can turn the danger into opportunity, then they truly deserve to reach the peak of rank 6, Peter replied calmly. And Peter also knew that this small team had an advantage that no one else could possibly match. It was the teleportation formation. The reason why these two people dared to enter the crack bravely and face so many magic beasts was inseparable from the fact that Ria could make teleportation formation in case of danger. When the two of them couldn't fight their opponent, all they have to do was to use the teleportation formation to escape. To be honest, such a way of fight was really cowardly. But at this moment, what would be more important than saving one's life? In that world, they dared to face countless dangers because they have various treasures that they kept with them. So they didn't have to learn so many life-saving methods and just have to rely on these. Runemaster was the only exception. They made these life-saving treasures herself, so naturally she had the greatest advantage when she really needed it. Rather than waiting for others to give it to her, why not make it herself? The teleportation formation was only one of them. I have to report this, the assistant said with a sigh. Go on and report it. I don't think that they planned to hide this matter if they dared to advance in the green planet instead of the crack. Wait, no, they can't advance in the crack. Peter thought about the formation that was keeping the crack in place and could guess that if someone dared to activate an advancement ceremony within the crack, the place where they stayed would definitely collapse. Because the places were not as sturdy as the green planet. What kept it around was the formation and so on. Even though Peter was not a rune master, he could sense that the crack was not stable. As he had reached rank 6, this sense was even greater, and his instinct was telling him that he will die if he dared to try advancing to rank 7 within the crack. The assistant only looked at Peter with a blank look as he made the call and quickly informed the higher-ups about the first rank 7 along with the advancement ceremony's information. Peter ignored the assistant. Well, I have already reached the middle stage of late 6 through eating a lot of resources. It seems that I have to hasten my pace a bit. Huh? Peter smirked as he looked at the distance. No matter whether it was Samuel or Ria who advanced to rank 7, Peter felt that it was a good thing, because their presence will definitely restrain Murin and Dina when either one of them advance to rank 7 in the future. In the other area, bang! Murin looked in the distance and his expression turned worse. He could sense the faint mana distortion, but he was so far away from the center that even if he wanted to do something, it would be impossible. Damn it! How could they be so fast? Murin cursed under his voice. He knew very well that the other returnees would definitely try their best to advance to rank 7 as fast as possible. Because only by reaching rank 7 would many threats from the outside world and even other returnees would not be able to affect them. Despite knowing this matter, Murin firmly believed that there were not many people who could possibly reach rank 7 so quickly. Now, he realized that he was too naive. Someone had advanced to rank 7 or they were in the process of advancing to rank 7. No, I can't take this lying down. Murin gnashed his teeth. It was only after he killed so many magic beasts and destroyed various places in the crack that he managed to reach rank 6 not long ago. The amount of resources he had to invest during this period of time was more than enough to make him want to vomit blood. Yet, it was not enough to make him the first to advance. Murin felt that it was unacceptable. How come they were better than him? Swish! Riding on his flying magic beasts, Murin headed in the direction where the mana disturbance came from. Even though it was so far away, Murin didn't believe that he wouldn't be able to catch up. No matter who do the advancement ceremony, he will make sure that he saw the other party clearly and see if she or he had that qualification. Damn it! Of course, he also prepared enough backup for him to run away at the fastest speed possible if he couldn't do anything. After all, he didn't want to lose his life yet. When I find the right magic beasts, I'll definitely reach the peak of rank 6 at the fastest speed possible. Murin's face was ugly. A beast master's advancement speed was very dependent on their magic beasts. If their magic beasts were good and all, then Murin's advancement speed would be like riding a rocket. But if the magic beasts were not strong enough, then Murin's advancement speed would be affected. Because he had to look for and hunt for the magic beasts himself, Murin couldn't focus on letting his magic beasts practice all the time. He had to make time for them to practice, and at other time, these magic beasts were all busy with other things. Moreover, while these magic beasts' talent was good, some of them were not that good because Murin took them for their special characteristic. Even if he could have twice the amount of magic beasts, the feedback he received from each magic beast was actually lower than ordinary beastmaster. This was Murin's secret that he didn't let others know. They only envied him for being able to get a lot of magic beasts, but they didn't know that he had to spend more resources to advance through ranks because of this talent. Well, it could only be said that everything has a price. Tisk, damn it! Murin cursed under his breath. The next magic beast had to be a very talented magic beast. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to advance through ranks quickly and reached rank 7. It seemed that he did have to pay attention to the type of magic beasts he selected in the future even more carefully. City A base. To be honest, City A base was days away from City J base and City I base. The mana distortion didn't reach City A base, but it was the call from the higher-ups that came to Mr. Jones. In the more than half a year time when Samuel and the others were gone and busy with their own business, Mr. Jones was also doing his best for City A base. Right now, City A base was definitely the best base for everyone to stay. There was no lack of food in City A base because the farming was very successful. And it was also being replicated by other bases. Of course, the order was pending because the person who could make it was not present. And the few Runemasters who were being trained could only make the other fences while the core ones could only use the limited stock from City A base. In any case, City A base made a lot of money. At the same time, they still collected the magic beasts' corpses for Ria once a month, which she transported through the teleportation formation and then left behind a stack of space storage scrolls as payment. It was really convenient. The problems of food has been solved more or less, and water was mostly using magic to solve it. As for the land itself, there were still some problems that was being handled little by little. In City A base, more and more people could now focus on improving their strength and even settling down. For this matter, Mr. Jones was still busy. But it's the kind that made him happy. After all, being able to see City A base getting better and better, there was definitely a sense of achievement from the bottom of his heart when he saw it all. As for the daily dramas, let's just leave it to the other people to solve. When Mr. Jones was busy with his work as usual, Mr. A suddenly called him and Mr. Jones could only postpone his work. Mr. It's been a while, Mr. Jones called out politely. Mr. A nodded through the video call and asked the question he wanted to know the most directly. Mr. Jones, sorry to bother you, but I would like to ask about what you know about advancement to rank 7. Peter had mentioned that there would be an advancement ceremony, but he didn't elaborate on it. In his words, he will tell them after he had advanced to rank 7 to prevent any accidents. It was not like he wouldn't tell them, but it was not the time yet. The Martial Arts Association also felt helpless about this, but they couldn't really force Peter to do what he didn't want to do. So they could only say to the government that they couldn't help it. The government also knew that these returnees definitely has reservation in everything that they shared with them. But what they had given out so far was indeed already very good and showed their sincerity to the fullest. So while they were curious, they still knew how to hold themselves back. But this didn't mean that they would give up so easily. Since Peter refused to answer, couldn't they look for others? There were more than one returnees. Before coming to Mr. Jones, they had already contacted Dina and Ruth, but the answer of these two people were also consistent. Dina directly said that they couldn't afford the price of this information from her. As for Ruth, she said that she would sell the information after her advancement. So the government had to turn to Mr. Jones to see if they could get a different answer. Mr. Jones. To be honest, he was indeed surprised to see Mr. A being so blunt and direct in his question. But at the same time, he realized that something must have happened to stimulate Mr. A so much. Based on the question that Mr. A asked, could only be that someone had advanced to rank 7 and the government thought of looking for him because they couldn't contact Samuel and Ria. The former was because he had been staying in the crack for a long time, while the latter was because the government didn't dare to contact directly. After all, Ria's attitude was clear. She handed over most of the negotiation over to Samuel and only talked with them very briefly about some matters. And since she was inside the crack, the only time she came out was when she took the magic beast's corpses that she asked them to collect and handed over a batch of space storage scrolls as per agreement. At this moment, anyone who dared to have any other ideas were simply stopped at the very first step. They couldn't even contact her. How could they ask something from her? Samuel didn't tell me much about it, Mr. A. Mr. Jones replied helplessly. He said that he will tell us only after we have reached rank 6 peak, where he would help us to advance to rank 7. It was not a complete lie. Samuel did keep a backup of a file somewhere, but he would only explain the content to them after they had reached sufficient rank. Knowing too much too early was not too good, because they would only feel pressure from the knowledge without being able to utilize it. Mr. A frowned. He felt that Mr. Jones was not telling the truth. How could Samuel not leave some kind of backup for his family members? These returnees were all betting on their lives, advancing further and further away on the road to reach the peak. Their lives were in danger, and those who still have family members would definitely leave something for them so that their lives wouldn't be too bad. But at the same time, he could see that Mr. Jones was truly unwilling to tell more to them about this matter. In that case, did Samuel ever tell you about the rank 7 advancement ceremony? Mr. A asked another question. Advancement ceremony? Mr. Jones blinked his eyes and thought about it. Samuel did mention that advancing from rank 6 to rank 7 required special preparation, but he didn't go into details about it. After all, they were still too far away from reaching rank 7. Samuel didn't want them to worry so much about it and planned to tell them in person if possible when one of them had the qualification to advance to rank 7. BTU so far? Well, their current qualification didn't seem to be that good. Is that so? Mr. A was disappointed. Special preparation. All returnees said that, but they were unwilling to go into details about what kind of preparation they needed to advance to rank 7. No matter how curious they were, they didn't even know what they needed to prepare. With all due respect, Mr. A, has Samuel reached rank 7? Mr. Jones asked the question he has been wondering about. He knew his son's progress was fast, but isn't it a bit too quick for him to reach rank 7? Well, even if he did, Mr. Jones would not be surprised, though. After all, Samuel has been staying in the crack for a long period of time and probably obtained a lot of resources that could help him to advance through ranks faster. While these treasures were indeed rare, but who knows what kind of things existed inside the crack. They couldn't enter too deeply. Only Samuel and Ria were brave enough to explore deep into the crack. The only good thing was that Samuel still sent videos to them, allowing them to see part of the crack through his exploration. Unfortunately, Samuel didn't bring too many things for them to research or others. After all, most of the magic beast's meat was eaten by Samuel and Ria. For this matter, everyone was silent. Samuel is a magic warrior, so they were not surprised that he had to eat a lot of magic beasts' meat. But Ria is a Runemaster, which is part of the mage's branch. Why did she have to eat a lot of magic beasts' meat? But well, Ria's answer was that she used them to make runes. When they got this answer, everyone was silent. Considering that Ria had explained the use of magic beasts' blood, and that there was refining process that could be done to turn these magic beasts' corpses into mana, they could only give up asking. "We don't know," Mr. A replied. "The returnees are telling me that there's a rank 7 advancement ceremony performed right now, but they're not entirely sure who it is. Based on the location and the 4 returnees whom we managed to contact, we estimated that it should be either Samuel or Ria. As for which one of these two, Mr. A was not entirely sure." "Well, I can try to ask," Mr. Jones said. "Have you contacted Samuel recently?" Mr. A asked in surprise. "Well, he contacted me just an hour or so ago," Mr. Jones replied truthfully as he took his phone and sent a message to Samuel. The reason why he didn't call was that he was worried that he would disturb his son. However, Samuel replied in an instant. "Samuel, it's Ria who's advancing to rank 7. Samuel, if anyone asks, you can answer this way. There's no point in hiding this matter either way." Samuel, who was looking at his phone, arched his eyebrows slightly. It seemed that the satellite was still working well, and it was not disturbed by the mana disturbance by Ria's advancement. It seemed that science and magic had to advance together, so that if one route was blocked, they could use the other one. Mr. Jones looked at his son's message and looked at Mr. A in front of him. "How is it, Mr. Jones?" Mr. A asked patiently. He knew very well that no matter what Mr. Jones answered, he had to accept it. "Well," my son replied, and he said that the one who's experiencing the advancement ceremony is Ria and not him. Mr. Jones replied truthfully. At the same time, he asked for more information from his son about the so-called advancement ceremony. Samuel selectively told his father a few information and said that the rest could only be told in the future when he had advanced to rank 7. He himself had to prepare for his own advancement ceremony and couldn't leak out the details of his ceremony. Because if others were to know what he needed for his ceremony, they might block his path in advance. This was something that Samuel didn't want to experience. After all, the amount of resources in the Green Planet was limited and they had to work hard to get any kind of resources. If someone found what they needed and purposely took it away, it would be hard for them to find the identical resources. Samuel told me that an advancement ceremony is very important for anyone who wants to advance from rank 6 to rank 7. The resources needed for each profession is different, and there will be specific methods for each of them depending on the path they took, Mr. Jones said while reading the message. Mr. A and the others were silently recording this matter. Considering that there are 12 returnees in total, he said that there are a total of 12 different paths and 12 different ceremony. Every ceremony will show the characteristic of the person who did the advancement. For example, right now, Ria is experiencing the advancement ceremony and she's a Runemaster, so there will be a vision of runes on the sky, Mr. Jones continued. Vision of runes? At this moment, Mr. A quickly asked them to retrieve the image of the areas where the mana distortion happened. Even though the image was taken from above, they could still see the areas very clearly. Just like what Samuel said, there was a large and dense runes filling the sky forming the shape of an unknown emblem. They didn't know what shape it is, but they had the feeling that it should be related to the Runemasters. The golden and silver color were intertwined together. If one had to say, it looked breathtakingly beautiful. The runes, Mr. A murmured. Mr. Jones was also looking at the image in front of him and was silent for a while. He was thinking about the shape that would form when Samuel did his ceremony, and it might be something related to Magic Warrior. As for what it is, he didn't know. After all, Samuel didn't tell them anything about it too clearly. How long would the advancement ceremony took? Mr. A asked. Samuel said that it will depend on the person themselves. But since they're all returnees who have experience, it should be shorter for them, Mr. Jones replied. Mr. A nodded. They were all looking at the image in front of them, and Mr. A simply told them to keep it. These runes were basically covering the sky of a large area. Based on his estimation, it was at least a few hundred kilometers in distance. However, most people wouldn't be able to see it. Unless they were sensitive to the runes and could sense the rune's movement, they would only be able to see it from above like this. Because most of the runes were formed above the clouds. After that, Mr. A asked a few more questions before thanking Mr. Jones solemnly and cutting off the video call. They had gained a lot of information and it was enough. Mr. Jones stayed in his office and sighed deeply. Mr. Jones, will there be any trouble with the appearance of the first rank 7? Samuel. No, she's not a person who likes to create trouble. Seeing the last message from his son, Mr. Jones fell into silence. For a moment, he had a strange feeling about his son's way of speaking about Rhea. But in the end, he surpassed the thoughts. The most important thing is for them to suppress this news. It was just, is it possible? Long distance away, Continent W, near the border with Continent Z. Mr. Nolan, there's a message from the higher-ups. It's about the other returnees in Continent Z. A soldier rushed over. Hearing the familiar sentence, Jonas Nolan looked over in confusion. He was just working on his new potion and had been doing a lot of experiments during this period of time. Of course, he also made a lot of potions that could help him to increase his mana. After all, he embarked on this path because his own talent was not very good, but his alchemy talent was extremely exceptional. Through the use of his own potion, he could advance through ranks quickly. By now, he had reached rank 6 and was making his preparation to reach rank 7 as soon as possible. Is there any important information? Jonas Nolan asked leisurely, not paying too much attention to the soldier's words. Mr. Nolan. It said that someone had advanced to rank 7, and there's an advancement ceremony that attracted a lot of people's attention. Prang. The glass in Jonas Nolan's hand fell down and his expression distorted. Who is it? Jonas Nolan quickly asked. He knew that for the returnees to advance to rank 7, they would need a lot of resources. One of the plausible methods was to use potions to help them speed up their advancement. But no returnees even came to him. Jonas had guessed that they should have their own methods that didn't require him. But who can tell him why it is so fast? Jonas Nolan swore that he had been working hard. Even though he was a bit careless and spent most of his time fiddling with his potion, he would never neglect his own practice. Adjusting his glasses, Pena turned to look at the soldier and said, "Show me the pattern." Pattern? The soldier was stunned. When someone performed an advancement rank ceremony, there would be a mark visible from the sky. Don't you have satellite or something? Show the mark to me and it'll be easier to find out who it is. There were a total of 5 returnees in Continent Z. It was not impossible for them to mobilize their spies to figure out the identity of the returnee who advanced to rank 7. But there was a faster method. As long as they could see the pattern, they could guess who it is. Soon, a picture was brought in front of Jonas Nolan. He looked at the picture in front of him and fell into silence. Mr. Nolan, this is the mark of the runes, Jonas Nolan said slowly. Only someone with high attainment in runes would be able to attract the world to form this pattern for him or her. They all knew that there was a Runemaster in Continent Z, but the information of this Runemaster was extremely limited. Aside from the fact that the Runemaster made a move in City J base to fight against the magic beast's tide, the Runemaster has been keeping an extremely low profile. So low profile that even the basic information couldn't be found. There were not many spies left after the earthquake happened because everyone just focused on their own survival. Stealing state secrets or something like that has become more and more difficult and there was simply no chance. Now, and the power of this Runemaster is definitely not weak, Jonas Nolan whispered in a low voice. I'll report this first. The soldier ran back, but Jonas Nolan was not interested. They all knew that when they advanced to rank 7, they would have their own advancement ceremony and the markings in the sky would definitely reveal their true identity. It was also because of this that they would not care too much. As long as they made enough preparation before their own advancement ceremony, then they didn't have to worry so much about their advancement failure. But Runemaster, huh? I thought that it would be the warriors or the magic warrior who advanced the fastest. Jonas Nolan walked out of his laboratory and looked at the crack's entrance not far from him. In order to facilitate him entering and exiting the crack from time to gather resources, he purposely made his own laboratory right beside the crack. It was a risky move for sure, but Jonas Nolan is not afraid. In the past year, he had entered the crack several times to get a lot of resources and even managed to get several special magic cores. Perhaps, quite similar to Rhea, Jonas Nolan also dared to enter deep into the crack because he had the resources to do so. The large amount of potion had allowed him to be slightly arrogant. It was dangerous indeed. But if he didn't take the risk, how could he advance through ranks so easily? It won't be so easy for magician to raise their ranks in rank 6, so if I want to be faster, I can only take more risks, isn't it? Jonas Nolan's eyes were burning with ambition and determination as he looked at the crack's entrance in front of him. He had accumulated a lot of potions during this period of time, and there was also one follower who had reached rank 5. Well, the officials of Continent W basically smashed most of their higher-ranked resources for him so that he could advance through ranks quickly, because they understood that having too few returnees meant that they had to cultivate their own elites. Continent W didn't want to lose against other continents, so they dared to take this risky move. And the rest was used to increase the number of warriors, magic warriors, and magicians in the army. Hey, tell them that I want to enter the crack. This time I'll look for more resources, Jonas Nolan said to the soldier who had returned. The soldier froze before replying, "Yes, Mr. Nolan." Jonas Nolan looked at the soldier's back indifferently. No matter what, he had to take this chance and strive to reach the peak of rank 6 as soon as possible. Long distance away, Continent X, one of the larger islands. The gloomy aura has always enveloped this place, especially after Pena gathered a large skeleton army under him. It could be said that there were a lot of dead people around Pena that he reused, fused, and break. The actions could be said to touch the nerve of some people. But for the sake of Continent X's interest, none of them dared to make a move. The sole returnee from their continent was like this, and there was simply nothing that they could do about it. Because if they didn't rely on him, it would be impossible for Continent X to rise. "Mr. Pena, there's a report that someone had advanced to rank 7 from Continent Z." A soldier came forward to make a report. Pena, who was fiddling with a large number of skeleton, paused his movements, raised his head, and then let out a strange laugh. Would there be really someone who advanced to rank 7 so quickly? Advancement through ranks has always been a matter of accumulation of strength. Pena firmly believed that only if they had accumulated a large amount of resources would it be possible for them to advance to rank 7. Otherwise, they would be too weak. And there might be other threats that they have to face after they advance to rank 7, which was simply not cost-effective. "Yes, Mr. Pena. It's true, and the officials requested for you to see this image." Unlike Jonas Nolan, who didn't tell much about the advancement ceremony because he wanted to gather the resources he needed on his own, Pena chose to let the country know some things, because he couldn't get these things so easily. Thanks to that, the official knew that there would be a markings formed in the sky during an advancement ceremony, and the identity of the person who advanced could be seen through it. Of course, Pena only let them know a part of it. Part that he couldn't gather on his own and required their help. "Let me see," Pena said leisurely. A tablet was put in front of Pena. His dropping eyes moved towards the screen before his movement paused. "It's a Runemaster," Pena said slowly. "And this Runemaster is that Runemaster." Pena's eyes flickered when he saw that familiar engraving marks. Everyone had their own unique marks, which represent their paths and profession. The profession one would be similar one after another, but because their specific paths would be different, most advancement ceremony would create a different kind of pattern in the sky. The greatest shape was naturally their profession, and then there would be a lot of fillings in accordance to their specific path. And the path that he saw this time, a very pure Runemaster. As far as I know, there's only one pure Runemaster in that world around our age. Pena had heard of this special Runemaster. A Runemaster with low talent but chose to take the path of magician regardless. When he passed by that place, he heard some rumors about how someone changed their magic spells to runes. It was a bit outrageous in his opinion, because no matter how fast they draw runes, How could it be faster than the magic spells that could be cast instantly after reaching a certain ranks? So he only felt that this person is foolish. Until 2 years afterwards, when he saw the screen with his master, that he found out he was the foolish one. His master told him calmly, "There's no rubbish path, only rubbish people. If you're determined enough to create a specific path that belong only for you alone, you can still make your name resound all across the land." Just like that special Runemaster. Because he was about to advance to rank 7 himself and embarked on his own journey out, Pena remembered this incident very clearly. That beautiful mark. It was really eye-catching, with gold and silver intertwined. But more importantly was the fact that if they paid closer attention, they would be able to see various colors hidden within these runes. From outside, they could only see the brilliant color of silver and gold. The magic tools that the people in that world used allowed them to see the inside clearly. He could never forget the dense runes that seemed to be filling the entire sky, yet none of them clashed against the other. It was so much that he didn't know how the person herself would be able to finish making the formation. After all, Pena is not a rune master. Those combination runes were simply too complicated for him to learn. It was enough that he learned the art of necromancy from his master. "So it's the Runemaster. I'll make the report, Mr. Pena," the soldier said, and quickly left. Pena didn't care too much about these officials' people being so impatient. After all, he knew that there were competition between continents and countries that still existed until now. But for him, if it's really that special Runemaster, it's really not a surprise for her to advance to rank 7 so quickly, Pena muttered in a low voice. His gloomy aura turned even gloomier. Even though it was indeed not that unusual, but he didn't want to lose. He had already collected a large number of skeletons, and as long as he could collect a bit more and build his castle, he could start his own advancement ceremony. At that time, no one would be able to stop him anymore. Long distance away, Continent Y, one of the city base. As the greatest opponent of Continent Z, Continent Y has always been paying close attention to the situation in Continent Z. They have already lost in terms of the returnees' numbers, so they hoped that these returnees they have would have higher ability. Both Navi and Nalen could be said to be under heavy pressure from the officials. Because after Ami, the sole magician, Death, there were only 2 returnees left. The officials knew that the number of the returnees were limited, but they never get the clear number before this. Now, they had the feeling that almost all returnees have appeared. And if this was the case, it meant that they have lost a lot with Ami's death. In the eyes of these officials, how could these people in the base be compared to the returnee? The knowledge and ability of these returnees would bring their country to a greater height. They couldn't afford to lose even one of them. Unfortunately, there was no time for them to regret. After all, they couldn't change the past. Nalen. The officials are making a fuss again. Navi's face twisted a bit when she saw the message they sent. Is there any problem? A returnee has advanced to rank 7, and they somehow managed to find this out so quickly. Navi replied, and her face contorted. Who is it? Who could advance to rank 7 so quickly? I see. On the other hand, Nalen was relatively indifferent. Nalen! They're on the other side of the world. Do you really think that you can stop them? Nalen asked back. Besides, only the first part of mana compression could have the possibility of intervention from others. Once they enter the second stage, they would be in the state isolated from the world. You can't do anything to them at that time. Navi fell into silence. She knew that Nalen was right, but she still felt unwilling. Damn it! I have to practice harder. Seeing Navi rushing off to practice, Nalen shook his head slightly. To be honest, he was not as calm as he showed on the surface. But he knew very well that there was no point in getting angry about it. The 2 continents were indeed opposing each other, but what does it have anything to do with him? Nalen didn't care too much and didn't want to care either. As a magic warrior, his progress is faster than Navi. So, the next person who advanced to rank 7 had to be me. Nalen's eyes flashed with determination and ruthlessness. It seemed that they did need to increase their speed. Otherwise, it was unknown how they were going to face that rank 7 Runemaster. None of them liked to have their fate placed in the hands of others. This is what fueled their ambition to reach the peak. Samuel and Riya's side. The mana compression didn't take a long time since Riya had experienced before. Even though there were some pain from this process, Riya didn't care that much. It was a process that everyone had to go through when they advanced from rank 6 to rank 7. For Runemaster, the second stage was to carve the runes into their heart. Upon reaching rank 7, no matter what their profession is, their mana heart, mind, and soul would be connected with each other. And the process for each of them would be different. For Runemaster, it was a process that they had to do through using their own runes, carving their path forward in their own heart. And the runes that they selected for their own heart would be written in the smallest font as possible and as many as possible. Naturally, they have to think about the stability of the runes and so on. Riya had already made it once and recalculated in the past year when she had nothing to do. She wanted to add more runes, but she also knew that there was a limit to how many runes that she could make. So she simply picked the best course for her. Riya opened her eyes and runes carving had appeared all over her body. She raised her finger and started drawing runes in the air once more before it headed towards her own heart and mind. The left hand drew runes for her heart and the right hand drew runes for her mind. These runes were formed simultaneously and moved at extremely speed, forming inside her heart and mind. Outside the formation, Samuel was watching this scene. He was not too surprised. After all, Riya is a rune master and technically speaking, the second stage of advancement ceremony would differ depending on their profession and path. He himself would not have such actions. Time passed quietly. Soon, the runes were done and the mana surged once more. Samuel closed his eyes as he could feel the pressure rise and the mana outside was rushing towards Riya at rapid speed. This made it hard for them to look around and after a few seconds, he could feel the wind had slowed down. After a moment, he opened his eyes and saw that Riya had stood up. The runes marking on her body had disappeared, leaving only faint mark behind both of her eyes in petal shapes and a small pattern on her forehead. The marks were not very prominent and couldn't be seen unless they were standing close to her. The dancing runes had stopped and dissipated into countless mana petals as it slowly fell down. It was beautiful. No matter how many times he saw it, Samuel felt that Riya's advancement ceremony was really beautiful. "Is it done?" Samuel heard himself asking in a low voice. Riya raised her head and smiled faintly. She was wearing a robe that she had customized from Peter and then arranged runes on it. The robe fluttered slightly along with the mana's movement as everything calmed down slightly. Seeing her smile, Samuel's eyes moved towards Riya's forehead. The mark was slowly fading away, but he could guess that it should be the same mark that appeared on the sky during Riya's advancement. Magicians and magic warriors would have their advancement markings on their body. For magicians, the location would be either their forehead or slightly below their neck. For magic warriors, the location could be on their navel, stomach, or it could be behind them depending on their shape. As for warriors, their advancement markings couldn't be seen at all, but they could change their body shape to a certain degree freely without any restriction. So if they prefer a bulky look, they could change their look to have their muscles visible, or if they prefer a relatively plain look, they could make their muscle didn't stand out too much. There was no specific markings for these warriors. Whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, Samuel didn't know. "Yes, it's done," Riya said and heaved a sigh of relief. "How much time has passed?" Samuel opened his phone to take a look and then said, 50 minutes. It's really fast." "Fast?" Riya rolled her eyes and then chuckled. "Well, the most time-consuming phase is the mana heart compression, but as long as you know the trick, you can do it quickly. It's just a bit more painful if you do it fast." After all, they were basically squeezing their own heart. It was definitely not an easy process. But since Riya had undergone this process once, she just had to replicate it and then moved quickly in accordance to what she had learned before. "You did it until it's the size of a pearl, right?" Samuel suddenly asked. "Of course," Riya replied. "From the size that was slightly bigger than a fist to the size of a pearl, it would be a lie to say that it was an easy compression. Besides, the amount of mana in Riya's body was extremely large. Compared to Samuel, it was almost 100 times more. So the process itself was actually very difficult. Yet, Riyah did it in such a short period of time. You're really... Samuel didn't know what to say when he thought about this. He knew very well that the main reason why people were able to endure the terrifying pain from the mana compression had to do with their willpower. Without strong willpower and determination, how could it be possible for them to endure the pain that could possibly shatter their soul during the mana heart compression? All returnees knew very well the impact of not doing mana heart compression correctly. They would never be able to reach rank 9. So they had to do it carefully, even if they have to endure that kind of pain once again. Riyah made a voice and tilted her head. Samuel saw this look and fell into silence before shaking his head. It's nothing. I have just found out that your willpower is stronger than expected. We're all people who have died once. Isn't it more painful when you have your entire soul and body ripped apart during your death? Riyah asked in a low voice. The pain of the mana heart compression was really nothing compared to her own death in that world. She didn't know how she managed to come back when she should have died in that place. The pain when her entire body and soul were broken apart could never be forgotten, and Riyah knew very well that it might haunt her for her entire life. She didn't want to die again, but she also knew that it was an impossible request. There will come the time for her to leave this world. And before that time arrived, Riyah hoped that she could achieve her dream of reaching the peak. Ah! Samuel scratched the back of his head uncomfortably. He also remembered that the pain of his death back then was really something that he didn't want to remember. Having his body broken apart by the magic beasts under their barrage of attack. He couldn't even imagine what would happen to his body. Perhaps it would be trampled to death under the rage of those magic beasts. Samuel didn't know. Riyah looked up and noticed the runes outside that was previously distorted had slowly returned to normal. At the same time, something flew towards her, and before she could stop it, the small light entered her forehead. Riyah! Samuel was stunned when he saw it and almost instinctively walked in. But he remembered that Riyah set up a formation there, and if he walked in rashly, he might not be able to come out alive. I'm fine. Riyah raised her hand. There was a message entering her mind, and her pupil dilated slightly. She looked around for a moment before forcing herself to calm down. What's that? Did someone attack you? No. It's not an attack. It's a message. Riyah was silent as she digested the message that appeared out of nowhere inside her mind. She knew very well that it was estimated that everyone who advanced to rank 7 would be able to know this. But to think that the truth is like this. Riyah. Samuel saw the complicated look on Riyah's face and felt worry from deep within his heart. The formation was not activated at all when that light suddenly came and headed towards Riyah. You will know after you reach rank 7, Riyah said and rubbed her forehead. Her blue eyes flickered slightly. As for what it is, I can't talk to you before you reach rank 7. There was a restriction. And knowing too much before it was time was also not a good thing. Rank 7. Samuel narrowed his eyes and then nodded. I'm still making the preparation for my advancement ceremony. When I reach rank 7, let's talk about it. He's curious, but he also knew that there were some things that might not be convenient to be said out loud. Whatever that light is, Riyah couldn't tell him, and he had to wait until it was the right moment before he could know. That's a promise. Riyah smiled in response. Swish! With a wave of her hand, Riyah deactivated the formation around her and looked at the corner where the mana stone was already gone. Considering the intents of her advancement, it seemed that rank 6 formation really couldn't handle it. Well, Riyah never thought about hiding it in the first place. Let's go, Samuel asked. Riyah nodded. Yes, to City I base. But before that, I think that I need to talk with the visitor. Visitor? Samuel blinked his eyes before moving his gaze to the sky. Seeing the familiar magic beast flying a distance away from them, he arched his eyebrows. It seems that someone wants to seek death. Within a certain place. It was dark. There was only faint light in this dim cave with countless runes extending to the walls, and a person was sitting at the center of the formation. He had long silver hair and has been closing his eyes in meditation. The moment Riyah's advancement ceremony was finished, the man opened his eyes and looked in one direction. The golden pupil reflected no emotions but indifference. The first one is really that Runemaster, the man muttered in a low voice. His voice was low and somewhat ethereal. Those who heard it would think that they were dreaming as they felt that the voice would disappear soon after. Yet at the same time, they would feel warm from hearing this voice alone. The man's indifference face showed a faint smile for the first time. With the first one, the others will come soon after. A light flickered and disappeared into the distance. The silver-haired man looked in the direction where Ria was located for a while longer before closing his eyes once more. It was not the time yet. At this moment, Ria didn't know anything about that. The message that was sent to her mind was limited and Ria was not qualified to know some things before it was time. It didn't feel comfortable to know that someone was watching them. But Ria calmed down quickly and focused her attention on the person who came over riding on top of the flying magic beast. Who could it be aside from Murin? He's still more than 2 kilometers away, Samuel commented as he looked at the distance. With their keen senses, this distance was nothing much and they could still see the other party. But whether they could attack someone at this distance, it was another question altogether. It seems that he's curious whether I have succeeded or not, Ria said with a faint smile on the corner of her lips. Just in time. I also want to know whether he will be able to block my attack or not. After advancing to rank 7, her current state was still very good and Ria didn't think much about it. Swish! Ria raised her 2 hands and runes formed in an instant. The speed was faster than before and the complicated formation was done within 2 seconds before ice elements formed from the runes and then shoot towards Murin in the distance. Samuel arched his eyebrows but didn't stop Ria. Since Murin came here to provoke the other party, then there was no problem even if they were to hit him like this. Swoosh! Bang! Oh! There was scream in the distance and then Ria turned around, ignoring the person who was falling down before he was caught by his second flying magic beasts. Did you kill his magic beast? Samuel asked curiously. No, just injuring it, Ria replied. She didn't want to provoke life and death grudge with Murin from this incident and only gave him a warning. The attack power of a rank 7 was far higher than that of a rank 6. At least for Ria, she just need to expend a bit more mana to use this magic spell. With this, it'll be more convenient when dealing with the rank 7 magic beasts. She already had enough troubles within the crack when dealing with the magic beasts and having advanced to rank 7. She would be able to deal with them easily later. Thinking about this, Ria felt a bit interested. After all, they avoided the relatively stronger rank 7 magic beasts when they explored the crack so that they would not be killed accidentally because they were not strong enough. But after she reached rank 7, they could try to deal with these magic beasts. Ria glanced at Samuel. Well, it might be better to wait until Samuel also reached rank 7. It should only take a few more weeks at most considering that his own progress was by no means slow. That's good. Samuel nodded when he heard Ria's answer. Ria arched her eyebrows. Do you care for Murin? No, I just think that it's a bit troublesome to deal with him. Of course, if it's really necessary, I don't mind dealing with him. If it was not necessary, there was no need to provoke other people without reason. But if the other party came to provoke them, then they just had to respond appropriately. As for what the other party was thinking, Samuel didn't know. He's only here to test and see whether I succeed or not, Ria replied leisurely as they walked down the street heading to City I base. After all, the advancement ceremony didn't mean that they would definitely succeed. Though, the chance for these returnees to advance to rank 7 was extremely high because of their past experience. But what if, once they failed in their advancement, they would be in a weak state for a period of time? For someone who was hostile to them, it was definitely the excellent opportunity to get rid of them. Ria knew this. Samuel also knew this. It was also because of this that Ria made a move to warn Murin so that he would not be arrogant and did something he shouldn't. Indeed, Samuel nodded. With you around, it's very reassuring now. Ria blinked her eyes and looked at Samuel beside her. The two of them were walking side by side and it should have been a normal thing, but why did she feel that what Samuel said was a bit ambiguous just now? He was only talking about her ability, right? Now that I have already advanced to rank 7, there won't be many people who can threaten me, and we can also explore those rank 7 magic beasts' lairs. Rhea said as she raised her finger. There are a few places that I want to check in the crack, and I have marked them with the teleportation formation. Speaking about teleportation formation, it seemed that she should also make a few teleportation formation plate. Ugh, wait, she needed the materials for it. Thinking about the fact that she had used up most of the higher-ranked magic beast's blood in her world, Rhea felt that she had become poor again. But without the support of these formations, she wouldn't be able to advance to rank 7. Could only be said that the cost was proportional. Samuel still has a few rank 7 magic beasts' corpses, but Rhea knew that he kept them for his own advancement ceremony. She definitely wouldn't take other people's things, so she should go to the crack again in a while to get more magic beast's blood to make the formation plates she needed. Of course, there was still some stocks. She should be able to make a few rank 7 defensive formation plates and magic scrolls for her own use. Yes, Samuel still remembered those magic beasts, and there was a smile on his face. Let's go and deal with them soon. Why do I feel that you're more excited than me? Is there? Samuel touched his face and chuckled. Perhaps I'm happy that I don't have to be chased around by those magic beasts anymore? Rhea looked at Samuel subtly. It sounded as if he was thinking of relying on her when dealing with those magic beasts. While it was not impossible, but this seemed to be completely different from what she knew of Samuel's personality. Don't think too much. I'll go there only after I have advanced to rank 7. Otherwise, we're simply seeking death, Samuel said calmly. Not all of them are at the early stage of rank 7. I know, Rhea chuckled. Do you still need to gather more materials for your advancement ceremony? No, I have everything I need and only need to wait and prepare myself first, Samuel replied calmly. It's not the time yet for me. Rhea nodded at Samuel's answer. Samuel looked at Rhea's profile for a moment before looking away. He wanted to ask that question to her, but it didn't seem to be appropriate to ask now. It would be better to wait until they were in City I base before he asked it. Murin sighed. Cough, cough. In the air, Murin was coughing badly. He felt that it was truly a mistake for him to come here. None of the returnees were easy to deal with, and upon reaching rank 7, it was clear that the offensive power of the Runemaster had increased significantly. Even if he had been keeping his distance, he could still get hit. But I'm sure she used a lot of mana for that one attack. Murin patted his magic beast and then checked the other magic beast. Upon being hit by Rhea's attack, he immediately called the magic beast back to the pet space. He knew very well that it would be impossible for him to defeat Rhea when she had advanced to rank 7 while he was still rank 6. It was nothing more than a pipe dream. Well, she still restrained herself. Looking at the injury of his flying magic beasts, Murin could tell that Rhea aimed at specific part on purpose. He didn't know how she managed to do it and didn't care too much. After all, upon reaching rank 7, there would be a qualitative improvement. Unfortunately for him, he's a beast master. This meant that his body was weak and the mana he has could only be used to make some low-level spell to protect himself, and the rest would be used by his magic beasts. He basically relied on his magic beasts to contend against other people. Without his magic beasts, he was nothing. But this kind of thing was not necessarily a bad thing in Murin's opinion. After all, it still allowed him to reach the height that he might not be able to reach if he had followed other paths. Let's go back. Murin looked at his phone and saw that the Magic Association had already started calling him again. Thinking about those annoying people, Murin felt his mood turned worse. He knew very well that those people thought that they were the most powerful and wanted to control the returnees. But because they all picked different paths, it was impossible to get them all together. After all, each and every single one of them would not follow what other people said so easily. They have their own thoughts, and they were unwilling to be used by other people. With ambition as high as the sky, I lost this time, but it doesn't mean I'll lose next time. Murin's eyes flashed with determination. He will make sure to succeed as soon as possible. No matter what awaited him in the future, Murin will defining win. There was no way he would be willing to suffer defeat under the hands of those people again. The bitter battles that he had experienced in that world was still fresh in his mind. Each and every single one of them should not be his match if they were to go on separately. But because they attacked him together, His magic beasts couldn't handle them on their own. What awaited them was bitter defeat. Right now, he couldn't gather those extremely powerful magic beasts like before. After all, many of them were rare and hard to get. Without the pampering of those people from the Beast Masters Association, it was hard for him to even get the slightly better ones. He had to work hard to make his team. Now, he had the confidence to say that his team was definitely one of the best team in the world. Because of this, he will never lose so easily again. City I Base. The commotion in the distance had stopped and the people didn't have any thoughts about it. Having faced the strangeness of the world several times, they had started to get used to it and didn't think that it was anything weird. The hot and cold temperature, the magic beasts that appeared, and now strange weather, it seemed that they have become a bit immune. It could also be said that they had completely let go and simply let nature took its course without doing anything. Because it was the truth that many of them couldn't change anything. Even if they wanted to do something, it would not affect the overall situation. Now that they didn't know anything and the things seemed to have been resolved, these people chose not to do anything. Of course, if they knew that they were about to experience the strange weather again in the future, they might want to start investigating about it. Only some people tried to investigate this matter. Reuben, did you see anything? Amelia saw that Reuben was staring at his phone intently. The 6 of them gathered in their residence, waiting for the atmosphere to return to normal before going out. Ah! Reuben raised his head. His expression was a bit strange. Master has reached rank 7. They should have their reasons as to why they didn't want to tell the content of the ceremony. Perhaps there's a possibility of failure if there's disturbance in the early stage. Reuben speculated. Arnold arched his eyebrows and said, "In that case, they will have to find a secluded place to do their advancement ceremony. What if there's backlash for failure?" They didn't know the content of the ceremony, so they could only guess bits and pieces. With how the returnees were very secretive about the content of their advancement ceremony, it was obvious that they didn't want others to disturb them. The advancement ceremony is very important and no mistakes are allowed. So until they advanced to rank 7, they would never spread out the methods of their advancement ceremony. As for other returnees spreading theirs, what does it have anything to do with them? Every profession has their own advancement ceremony and they would not care too much about other people leaking their own secret. But they would never spread out their real advancement methods. "Let's ask them after they come back," Stephen finally said. "There's no point talking about it here." The others heard it and could only nod their heads. They knew very well that even if they started discussing things, they could not come to any conclusion without those 2 people's explanation. The information about the advancement ceremony could only be known by the returnees and the others had to wait for them. "I'm going to wait by the door for their return," Amelia said without hesitation and ran out. "Wait, Mel. I'll come along." Arnold came forward and held Amelia's hand helplessly. Amelia was stunned and she glanced at Arnold. "Do you want brother to beat you up?" "I don't mind, though." Seeing the naughty smile on Amelia's face, Arnold rubbed his face and shrugged. "Well, it will come sooner or later, so he better be prepared first." "Do you want to go too?" Reuben asked when he saw Sean was still staying behind. "No." Sean shook his head. "I'll just wait here for them to come." There was no hurry. It would be better to let his brother beat up Arnold first and then talked about serious matters. "Then I'll be going to watch the fun." Reuben smirked and then sneaked out too. "Sean?" Sophia's eyes lit up and she looked at Stephen, who could only nod helplessly. In the end, Sean was the only one left behind. The young man rolled his eyes and could only follow along with the others. Seriously, it was impossible for Samuel and Rhea to get lost even if they didn't know their residence. But thinking that he could watch Arnold be beaten up, Sean felt that there would be no loss with him coming along. So all 6 people were standing outside the gate. Arnold saw the gloating look of the others and his fist hardened. It seemed that after this, he should find some time to ask them to go to the training grounds and beat them up. Amelia was laughing while holding her stomach. Everyone is a bad friend. Samuel and Rhea were fast in their travel. After all, there was nothing much to see in the ruins, so the 2 of them chose to run to City I Base. Occasionally, There will be an unlucky magic beast that crossed their paths, but most of the time, their journey was smooth. It didn't take that long for them to come to City I base. Seeing the 6 people standing in front of the gate, Rhea blinked her eyes. Do they really have to prepare such a grand ceremony? They're just planning to come and pay a visit, but this group of people actually come out of the base specifically. They might have something to say that's inconvenient through phone, Samuel replied. He had received Ruben's message about work and so on. But there seemed that there were some things that Ruben didn't tell him. His eyes moved towards Arnold and Amelia. Even though he knew about his sister's preference for Arnold, she has always been restrained and only showed some cough look from time to time when looking in his direction. But Arnold himself also knew that it was not suitable for him to get close to Amelia before. So their relationship so far was only that of a good friend. Now, Samuel saw that the 2 of them were holding hands and his eyes narrowed. And it seems that I need to have a good talk with Arnold. Ha! Rhea was stunned and followed Samuel's gaze. Upon seeing what he meant, Rhea laughed out loud. I thought that Amelia's crush has always been very obvious. Yes, so I need to talk with him, Samuel replied righteously. It was one thing for him to kidnap his sister and another thing to talk with the other party. Besides, Samuel knew about Arnold's background and the few things that happened in the past. He had never been able to make a decision because of these. Now, he better have a good answer. Tep. The 2 of them were close to the gate in an instant, and the 6 people quickly noticed their arrival. Their expression changed when they saw this. They're fast. Rhea's speed is not losing to Samuel now. She's really a magician, right? The 6 of them were genuinely surprised when they saw this scene. All of them knew that one of Rhea's weakness was her body. This was the weakness that all magicians has and had never been changed. But now, Rhea was even faster than Arnold. Their look when they looked at Rhea became a bit subtle. How did a magician has stronger body than a peak rank for magic warrior? It seemed a bit inconceivable. It seems that you have been training hard. Samuel swept his gaze and then locked onto Arnold. Have you decided? Arnold arched his eyebrows and knew what Samuel meant. He smiled. Yes. After hearing Arnold's answer, Samuel nodded and then said, Let's go to your temporary residence. Huh? They were all confused by Samuel's remarks and looked at each other. A trace of pity flashed by their eyes for a moment. Everyone wanted to see Samuel beating up Arnold. After all, they all knew how much Samuel doted on his family members. But now Amelia has been kidnapped, and Arnold was let off easily? Tisk, it's not fun. Only Arnold smiled faintly, understanding what Samuel meant. They had a conversation many years ago when he had returned from his work and found that Amelia's liking for him had instead increased. It would be impossible for Samuel to separate them, and he had seen that Amelia's liking was more like a crush. Even though Amelia was a bit naive, she also knew that it was not suitable for her to charge forward like an idiot. So the 2 of them could maintain that good state. And the most important thing was his own decision and determination to let Amelia enter his world. Even if it's dangerous, he will protect her. But he will definitely beat me in private later. Arnold rubbed his neck and sighed deeply. Well, he just had to be prepared for later. I'll check your training progress later. Before that, is there anything that you want to ask? Samuel asked straightforwardly after they sat down in the living room. Why do you have to be so serious? This is not a meeting room, Ruben complained. Relax, Samuel. Stephen patted Samuel's shoulder helplessly. Seeing his friends like this, Samuel showed a wry smile and slapped Stephen's hand away. He leaned against the sofa and sighed. Fine. I have made the report about the crack and Rhea's advancement. Rhea, are you really rank 7? Amelia interrupted when she heard her friend's name. Rhea smiled. Of course. Then, can you make a more convenient magic scroll for me? TSK. You only want to get close to me for the magic scroll. Hee. Please, Rhea. Amelia had moved to the back of Rhea and rubbed the other party's shoulder playfully. Seeing Amelia acting like this, Rhea laughed and then said, I'll give you a better defense formation plate later, but considering that I don't have many materials in hand, you will have to wait for a bit. It's okay. Rhea is the best. With that, Amelia snuggled close to Rhea. Wait, I still want to ask for advice for my next magic pet, Sophia also said. I'll give advice after seeing your current strength and your pet's improvement later, Rhea said. They hadn't seen each other for more than half a year and Rhea didn't know how much they have improved. There was no way she could give accurate judgment of which magic beast would be the best for Sophia. Sophia nodded with a grin. Great. With that, Sophia also snuggled from the other side. Samuel, who was pushed away by his own sister. He silently glanced at Arnold but saw the other party also had a helpless look on his face. Their minds were rarely synchronized. My status is far lower than Rhea, Amelia, in Rhea, Amelia's heart. Stephen, who watched this from the side, also looked at his sister helplessly. He felt that his sister had to be brought out to meet with other people more often. Right now, he was worried that if Sophia stayed with Rhea all the time, her orientation will suddenly change one day. Though Stephen knew that the chance was slim. These girls were more like sisters to each other and didn't have any other thoughts. Only Sean rolled his eyes when he saw this scene. Brother, can I talk to you alone? Sean finally asked. Samuel nodded and then glanced at Arnold, Reuben, and Stephen. I only want to learn some magic skills from Rhea since we have reached rank 4, Stephen said while raising his hand. I want to learn more runes from her, Reuben added. Arnold shrugged. I'll wait next door. Samuel looked at his friends and then at his sister. For some reason, he had the feeling that Rhea is the most popular in their group while he was at the bottom. But he didn't dislike this feeling and only felt helpless. All right, you can go with Rhea while I talk with Sean. Yes. Can Amelia and Rhea stay? The others. Amelia rubbed her forehead and then glanced at Rhea. I don't mind, but Rhea arched her eyebrows as she looked at Sean up and down. Aren't you going to talk about your future paths? This is not something that can be easily talked in front of outsiders. She herself should be considered an outsider in front of Sean. After all, she could still remember that Sean didn't seem to like her that much when they met for the first time in front of the villa back then. Before that, they barely have any interaction with each other because there was no need for that. Sean has his own circle of friend. And Rhea is Amelia's friend, not his. How did you? Sean was stunned. How did Rhea knew what he wanted to talk about? Rhea looked at Sean's body and her eyes deepened. She could sense that Sean's mana was a bit disordered. Once you reach rank 7, your mana sensitivity will reach the level where you can even sense other people's emotion through their mana's movement, Rhea explained briefly. Of course, if you don't have enough experience, you will not be able to guess correctly. What kind of emotion? Sophia asked curiously. Anger? Happiness? Panic? Uneasy? Rhea said slowly, and after a moment, she added. The perceptive one can even tell when you're lying or not through the movement of your mana. When the others heard this, they were stunned and turned to look at Samuel. It's true. Samuel nodded. Both magicians and magic warriors have heightened senses and sensitivity towards mana. They will be able to do this, especially if they train themselves. It feels cheating, Amelia muttered. I think the existence of magic is already cheating in the first place, Sophia said as she released Rhea's hand. After all, if they didn't know the principle, it would really look magical. Now that magic truly existed, there were already many things that overturned their previous common senses. True. Stephen stood up and turned around. Anyway, I'll wait outside. Me too. Arnold and Reuben stood up one after another, followed by Sophia. The four of them knew that this was not the place for them to stay, no matter how curious they were about what Sean might want to say. So, are you still letting me stay? Rhea asked again. Sean nodded. You're a returnee. I believe that you have more knowledge about this matter. Depends on what you plan to ask. I want to know how good is my talent is good or not. Sean looked at the two people in front of him, and Amelia had already moved to another chair. After all, she felt that her brother's gaze was a bit too sharp when she was hugging Rhea's hand. TSK. A jealous man is really not cute. While Amelia was complaining madly in her head, Samuel had moved his gaze away and listened to his brother's words. His expression turned a bit strange. Your talent is definitely not bad, Sean. How good or bad it is? Sean asked. Samuel looked at Sean thoughtfully. The talent test machines didn't exist in this world, so he could only improvise it himself when he wanted to test his family member's talent. To be honest, except for Amelia's talent that was slightly off the chart in terms of fighting skills improvement, the rest were actually pretty good. Both are above average, Samuel replied. In terms of mana refinement, you're actually better than Amelia since her talent is a bit imbalanced. But in terms of physical strength improvement, you're far better than many other people. Ha! Sean looked at Samuel. His expression contained disbelief. But I'm the slowest in training, Sean muttered in a low voice. In their small group alone, he was the slowest one in their training. No matter what he didn't seem to be able to catch up with the others. This made him frustrated more than once. But even if he forced himself to train over and over again, Sean felt that his training result was far from his expectation. Your mana is disordered, which meant that you have other thoughts when you're training, Rhea replied. Based on the degree of disorder, this has happened for months and you have too much thoughts in your mind. Meditation and training has to be pure for you to truly improve. Pure. Amelia was stunned with Rhea's word selection. I mean, why do you want to become a magic warrior in the first place? Rhea tilted her head. Think about it and just let it be the sole focus when you're training. Your training will increase faster than when you're too busy thinking about the gain and losses. Even though Rhea said that, she also knew that it was hard for people to truly do this. When one was training, especially one that lasted for a long time, there might be time when they doubted themselves. Why can't they improve? Why does it seem worse than yesterday? Can I really do this? This was something that people who train day by day would definitely experience. But human states are full of ups and downs. Training will ensure that you're at least at the good state and will continue to maintain it. The improvement might be small or big in a day, but what you have to do is to continue training and training again, Rhea said and then yawned. A magician and magic warrior's path is extremely long. If you can't hold on after only 2 years, you won't be able to hold on for another 100 years, because they couldn't stop their training. In order to keep their state at the peak, they would have to continue their training day by day until their death. For Rhea, the training might be boring, but she has a goal that she wanted to reach. So even if the improvement was in negligible percentage that she couldn't feel, she would never stop. Your body will be tired and your mind will be exhausted, Samuel continued. The training will not become easier just because you reach higher rank, but will instead become even more difficult. Because your improvement could no longer be seen by the naked eyes and you might fall into doubts. He had seen people who stopped training because of their frustration. Once they were no longer standing firm on their path, they would not be able to continue walking on this path. Many of them chose to live a good life after abandoning their path forward. They will stay stuck on that rank until the day of their death. Some worse one even has their rank plummeted and eventually died earlier because they wasted their lives. He had seen so much, and Samuel believed that Rhea had also seen them in that world. What people would do when they couldn't reach their goal, especially when they lost what they used to have. The sense of frustration and the desperation that they felt was more than enough to push them even further. What people could do when they were desperate. It was definitely not ordinary. Samuel didn't want to see his brother being pushed to the point of desperation. Let's change the question, Rhea interrupted and slowly asked. Do you want to continue your practice to become a capable magic warrior, or do you plan on following a different path and your practice as a magic warrior will only be your side profession? The fundamental reason why Sean asked this question should be related to this matter, so Rhea directly asked the key question. Amelia looked at Rhea in confusion. I never know that you're this sharp before, Rhea. It seemed as if Rhea had become a completely different person after her advancement to rank 7. This was what Amelia felt and think when she saw her friend. Rhea was silent for a moment and looked at Amelia while pursing her lips. What you can see after you reach rank 7 is far beyond what you can see when you're below this rank. She couldn't explain it clearly, but everything that seemed to be unclear would become clear in her eyes. Samuel chuckled. Amelia, The most outrageous thing that a person could do is to lie in front of a rank 7 magician and magic warriors. Because if they were not adept in acting, then they would be completely full of flaws in front of them. This was something that Samuel had seen for himself. After he reached rank 7 in his previous life, he also felt it very deeply. The large amount of information that was immediately processed into conclusion when he saw someone. It was not something that one could experience or bear until they reached rank 7 themselves. It was also because of this that they would not dare to fight against a rank 7 unless they themselves were of rank 7. As for the magic beasts, those they have faced so far were the relatively weaker magic beast, which could still be handled to a certain degree. But the price they had to pay to kill those magic beasts were by no means low. It's really powerful. Amelia looked at Rhea with admiration. Rhea only smiled and didn't explain further. She looked at Sean in front of her, waiting for his answer. I honestly don't know, Sean replied. I've been thinking about it for a while. Aside from the training from brother, father came to me and let me train various managements. It's all very unfamiliar, and I often feel that he might want me to inherit City a base after him. Samuel nodded. He knew that it was true. His father wouldn't want City a base to be managed by others in the future. But Samuel also knew that his father was worrying too much. Their lifespan will be extremely long, and it would not be too late for him to cultivate a successor in the far future. There was truly no need for him to be so anxious and put pressure on Sean. It seemed that he should talk with his father about this matter soon. So you're thinking whether you should give up instead? Amelia asked. She knew her younger brother well. Well, it seems that my talent is not as good as you because I'm the last one among the 6 of you, Sean replied with a bitter smile. If you want me to be honest, Stephen and Ruben's talent in physical training is worse than you. But because they switched to become magician, they have their own way of training, Samuel replied as he glanced at Rhea. The two of them decisively abandoned the path that they used to take and become Rhea's disciple. It was clear that since their talent was better on one side, they would choose the extreme path instead of the stable one. They might not be able to advance as fast as others, but it was good enough for them. Rhea asked him, "Are you asking for yourself or for your family?" "Huh." Sean looked up. Rhea rubbed her neck. "While it's true that your family will help to make some arrangement, but it didn't mean that they will do it for the rest of your life. The most important thing is whether you like it or not. Because your decision will be related to your future and it's your life, you should decide in the direction that you think is right. Not for other people around you but for yourself. But, if you think that father will disagree because he wants you to be City A base successor, you don't have to worry." Samuel raised his hand. "I'll talk to him." Sean looked at the two people in daze. "No matter whether it's right or wrong, your family will support you if that's the path that you want to take." Samuel pointed at Amelia. "Even if you're like her and want to be a useless young master, I can convince father." "Brother, why do you use me as the negative example?" Amelia immediately complained when she saw her brother was using her to be the example for her younger brother. Samuel only glanced at Amelia with the look that said, "Isn't it true?" She crossed her arms with dissatisfaction. "There's nothing wrong with me being a bit useless. I have a family that support me." Seeing her righteous expression, the others only shook their heads helplessly and ignored her. Anyway, they knew that Amelia might say arrogant words, but her action was still well calculated. She will never let those who care for her truly worry about her. At most, they would be annoyed by her pranks. That one will never change. If you didn't want to inherit the family business, our father could just wait until their children grow up. After all, they could live for a long time with their current strength. Samuel added when he saw Sean's expression wavering. Amelia laughed out loud. "Brother, why do you even want to calculate our children? We're not even married yet. You all have partners, it's just a matter of time," Samuel said righteously. "And the person who said this is single." Amelia muttered and saw Samuel glaring at her, so she quickly shut up. But this allowed her to know that Samuel really hadn't caught up with Rhea yet. "TSK, her brother is too slow. They spent so much time together in the crack and he hadn't even confessed yet? He's even more useless than Arnold. Thankfully, Samuel didn't know what Amelia was thinking, or he would definitely let her train overnight. Sean looked at the three people in front of him and laughed. Rhea looked at Sean in front of her and arched her eyebrows. The tangled mana was smoothed out, and she believed that Sean's training in the future will be smoother, more than ever. It seemed that he had been under such pressure for a long time, so when his doubts and concern were released, his path would be better than before. This is a good thing. Have you made your decision, Sean? Samuel turned his head to look at Sean calmly. Sean looked at his older brother, the person who has always stood at the forefront and protected everyone behind him. He has always looked so calm and composed, very reliable, and made people forget that he was only a few years older than them. It was truly his luck to be born in this family. He didn't want to be a burden for his brother, but at the same time, he also knew that his existence alone might have long restricted her brother. But perhaps Samuel had never thought of him as a burden. Samuel had enough power and qualification to protect them all and to let them live the lives that they wanted. So why should they worry all the time? They just have to live their lives to the fullest. This is the best response they could give to their brother. I want to become a magic warrior and I don't want to learn management anymore, Sean replied with a grin. I'll let my son or daughter in the future be the one to take it over. Amelia saw her younger brother said this and looked at him with dumbfounded expression. I should have recorded it and sent it to Joan. Don't you dare. Sean glared at his sister. Amelia stuck out her tongue playfully when she heard Sean's threat, but she was not afraid in the slightest bit. Anyway, her brother couldn't do anything to her. All right, I'll tell father, Samuel replied and sent a message to Mr. Jones quickly and neatly. He didn't mind whatever decision Sean made because for him, it was more important for these two people to live the lives they wanted. However, even if they wanted to pick other paths as the focus, they still have to train as magic warrior. Just like their father and mother were still training even if their result was not very good. Also, if possible, I don't want to leave City a base in the future, Sean said quietly. He didn't like business and ever since he was a kid, what he liked was to fight with other children. He's an impulsive person and he wanted to be able to fight, but he didn't want to leave City a base. For Sean, staying in City a base seemed to be the best decision. Huh? Isn't it more fun to walk around the world? Amelia asked in confusion. If it was her, she would rather walk around the world instead of staying in one base all the time. After all, she would definitely feel bored if she had to stay in City a base without coming out in the slightest bit. No, Sean shook his head. I think that it's better to stay in the base. Going out meant that he would be facing a lot of danger. Besides, it didn't mean that he would not fight the magic beasts at all, but only in the areas around City a base. There were still some magic beasts there and Sean felt that it would be enough for him. He liked to fight to a certain degree, but if he had to put himself in a life and death battle, then he would have to refuse. It would better for him to find an opponent that's weaker or more or less match with his strength. If he went out of City a base's range, the magic beasts might be far stronger than him, so Sean didn't want it. All right, Samuel agreed readily and then added, if you want to enter the military instead, I can make the arrangement. That? Sean thought for a moment. I would like to discuss this with Joan first. Sure. So, are we going back to City a base, brother? Amelia asked another question when she heard Samuel kept on agreeing to Sean's words. Samuel glanced at Amelia. If you want to stay here, I don't mind. But the number of magic beasts have decreased rapidly. He and Rhea basically cleaned up most of the magic beasts they could find in the crack. Since the location was near City I base, this also meant that the number of magic beasts here would decrease rapidly. It would not be enough for their training. Since they have reached rank 4, should I let them enter the crack next? Samuel felt a bit conflicted. He didn't really want to let his family members and friend enter the crack. The crack is much more dangerous than the ground. The only reason why he came with Rhea was because he knew Rhea's strength and also confident in her ability to run away. Never ever underestimate a Runemaster who was proficient in escape. Because if they were not careful enough, they would be tricked by the other party and then the target ran away before they could do anything to them. Who knew how many people have already felt the grievances of being unable to do anything against these unscrupulous Runemasters? I'll ask them later. I'll call the others back, Sean said as he came out to call the others to come back. Rhea looked at Amelia and took out a quarter of the special magic core. This is for you. It'll help you to break through to rank 5. Ha! Amelia was stunned. This? Special magic core. You can absorb the mana directly and made the mana yours, Rhea explained. Special magic core? Amelia had heard about it in the past, but she had never thought that she could get it. After all, this was an extremely rare resource that not many people could get their hands on. Is it not good for you to give it to me directly? Amelia asked with strange look. She felt that this thing was a bit too precious compared to other things that Rhea had given to them in the past. It's fine. It belongs to me and I can give it to whoever I want to, Rhea replied. At this moment, the door opened and the others came back. Their eyes moved towards Amelia's hand that was still holding the special magic core. That's a quarter of special magic core, Rhea replied and took out 3 more pieces before handing it in the direction of Arnold, Sean, and Sophia. This is for us? 1 for each. This is a rank 5 special magic core, which is a bit too much for Magic Warrior, so I divided into 4 so that you can withstand the mana, Rhea explained. After that, she took out 2 pieces that were clearly bigger than these 4 pieces. This is half of the rank 5 special magic core. These 2 were handed over to Stephen and Ruben. The arrangement was clear. Magician required more mana, so it would be no problem for both Stephen and Ruben to take the half of special magic core directly. Isn't this thing very expensive? Ruben asked while looking at the half special magic core in his hand. If I'm not wrong, it's valued at millions of contribution points at the very least and even categorized as special resources. Millions? Sophia felt her hand trembled. She didn't mind getting Rhea's help from time to time, but this thing, it was a bit too precious. Isn't it? Just take it. I have no use of this thing anymore. Rhea waved her hand. She's already rank 7 and the rank 5 special magic core didn't have much use for her anymore. It would be better to give it to those who could make a great use of it like her friends. Seeing Rhea's nonchalant expression, they felt a bit helpless. Listen to her, Samuel said. This special magic core is extremely attractive for magicians and can help you increase your mana faster. Sean, you will probably need a lot of practice to make the balance. All right, shall we take it now? Amelia was a bit curious about the special magic core. Just take it and we'll guard you. For the Magic Warrior, remember to slow down and don't be greedy. It's not that easy to absorb for you, Rhea reminded. Yes. So under Samuel and Rhea's supervision, the 6 of them started to meditate and used the special magic core given to them. Even though it was either only a quarter or a half, the amount of mana was a bit too much for them. Seeing them struggling, Samuel arched his eyebrows. How did you absorb it so quickly back then? He had seen Rhea's process of absorbing the rank 6 special magic core when they were in the crack. After all, Rhea wanted to advance quickly, and she would not miss any available resources that was handed over to her on a silver plate. These special magic cores might look difficult to take, but for Rhea, it was extremely easy. The formation she made would help her accomplish it quickly. I'm used to it. Rhea looked back at Samuel and then tilted her head. Besides, my mana control is several times better than them. She could tell that these people's mana control was still very limited. The one with the best mana control was Ruben, which might be because he was also a Runemaster. Though Ruben is more of a magician than Runemaster. Right? Samuel nodded. Also, I don't know any higher ranked magic spell. Rhea rubbed her chin. Do you plan to cooperate with the Magic Association? She didn't know if the Magic Association has any higher ranked magic spell, but if there was any, then they could probably cooperate something with them. There's no need for that. Oh, there's a 5-element magician in Continent Y and she sold these magic spells for the military's help to enter the crack. Continent Z negotiated and exchanged the basic of Rune Masters and Beast Masters with them. Samuel replied calmly. He had obtained some information and knew about these things. There were also other information that the two continents exchanged with each other, but Samuel didn't pay attention to everything. It seems that they're making a good use of the information I gave them. Rhea chuckled when she heard that. You're not angry? Why should I be angry? Samuel smiled when he saw Rhea's generous look. He knew very well that Rhea felt that they have already traded things that she needed with her, so she didn't mind they used those informations to exchange for other things. Besides, the knowledge of Runemaster was far deeper than what she had give to them. It didn't even reach 1% of her entire knowledge reserve. Why should she be angry? In the first place, Rhea was hoping that the knowledge can be exchanged. In any case, they can learn the magic spells on their own after they come back to Cydia base by paying some contribution points, Samuel said, and then added, of course, if you want to exchange it too, you can do it. If he was not wrong, Rhea had a large number of contribution points in Cydia base. As long as she was willing to use those contribution points, it would be easy for her to get the information that she needed. I'll take a look after we get back. Rhea nodded with a smile. She has long been curious about the magic spells from these magicians. Even if she can't use it, she can just take a look. After all, Rhea is not a magician. She has no interest to start learning various magic spells either. But it would not hurt her to exchange for a few magic spells, especially those that she hadn't seen before. There are also other cooperations with Continent X and Continent W, Samuel said as he thought about what his father said to him. He helped his father to secure some deals with the higher-ups, so his father told him the result of some things to him. This included the cooperation between these continents. Continent W. If I'm not wrong, Ruth is from Continent W, right? Are they still willing to exchange information when she's here? Rhea asked helplessly. Ruth's position was a bit awkward. She couldn't return to her own continent and has been stuck in Continent Z. This matter was not exactly a secret and had even become a topic for those higher-ups to have conflict with each other. When Rhea heard about this, well, she was not too surprised. The importance of the returnees were extremely clear for many people. They couldn't afford losing even a single one of these returnees. Many information that I know and Ruth know overlapped with each other, Samuel replied helplessly. Continent W found out about it and realized that even if Ruth is here, Continent Z didn't seem to take that much advantage. So they only asked her to transmit some information for exchange of some support that they paid Continent Z to give. Rhea arched her eyebrows. Condition. It seems that she still has to belong to Continent W and return when there's a chance in the future, Samuel replied. I don't know the exact details because it's a confidential matter. For him to be able to find this out was already quite remarkable, and Rhea didn't really expect Samuel to know more. After all, it was impossible to expect these returnees to share information without getting anything in return. Okowo. Rhea nodded. The other information is about Alchemist, but aside from sharing some recipe, they can't really share the ready-made potion. The Alchemist in Continent W is still a big failure, Samuel said with a hint of gloating. After all, it was quite amusing that they have tried to train other alchemists, but the result was not very good. So far, aside from Jonas Nolan, the other alchemists couldn't even be called an alchemist. Their products were so poor that they might not even dare to use it themselves. Rhea heard this and was speechless for a moment. I think that they just didn't want to let other continent get an advantage. Besides, it's not that easy to trust the alchemist compared to Runemasters. The final product of an alchemist had to be eaten or drunk. On the other hand, a Runemaster only needed to draw on a piece of paper, and then it could be used through ripping the paper or through infusing mana. There was not much danger. Well, there was some risks, but it was not as much as the alchemists where they have to swallow something that was unknown. It'll take some time to control the quality. Even the Runemasters in Continent Z are not necessarily the best either. Samuel felt helpless when he thought about this matter. The other continents were also eyeing Continent Z's magic scrolls, but the other Runemasters couldn't really make too many of them. They could only make enough for internal consumption. I have seen it before, but they still need more training. Rhea sighed. Even after more than a year of practice, these Runemasters were still unsightly. while some magic scrolls can be used but most of it had to be scrapped. Thankfully, many rank 1 and unranked magic scrolls can already be made. It was commonly used by ordinary people and lower-ranked magic warriors, magicians, and even warriors. But it was still in short supply in most places, so Continent Z couldn't really sell these to other continents just yet. They had to wait until they train enough rune masters or these rune masters achieved better result. The space storage scroll is one of the most difficult one from what I heard. Samuel's expression was a bit strange when he remembered this matter. The higher-ups hoped that Rhea could continue ask for the magic beast's corpses just so that they could trade more space storage scroll with her. This made Rhea had to spend a day to make a lot of space storage scroll each month just to trade with them. After all, no other rune master can make the space storage scroll yet. The last time one of them managed to make it, the space storage scroll was unstable and ended up unusable after a few hours. It was quite miserable. It involved the space, so I'm not too surprised. Unlike other runes that are relatively simple and still has some tolerance range that can be accepted, the space storage scroll doesn't accept it. Rhea shrugged. That's why even rank 1 space storage scroll is very expensive. Not all rune master would be able to make space storage scroll. The requirement for rune masters to make space storage scroll was extremely high, and before they reach high enough rank, not many people dared to attempt it. Well, she was an exception. Knowing how expensive it is, Rhea practiced to make the space storage scroll with her mana in simulation before making the real one. Once she succeeded, she sold them and then make more. In this way, she has a lot of money in her hand and could practice other runes and formation plates. It was truly a blessing for her to have such a high talent as a rune master. Otherwise, Rhea would never be able to attempt creating a large number of space storage scroll as her first big pot of gold. Did you remember something about that world? Samuel saw that Rhea fell into trance in the middle of their conversation. Well, Rhea scratched the back of her head. She didn't mean to daydream, but she couldn't help but remember the hardship in that world. Thankfully, she was not completely poor and could still take care of herself back then. Samuel didn't know what Rhea was thinking, but his hand moved to rub her head. It's okay, you don't have to be so distressed. Rhea was silent. She looked at Samuel with a confused look. When she was in trance, she didn't know what kind of look she made on her face to make Samuel console her in this way. Even though Rhea was confused, she chose to stay silent. It would be better for her not to know. Master, Reuben called. Rhea turned her head and saw that Reuben had finished. Her eyes flashed in surprise before calming down. It seemed that Reuben's potential was better than what she thought. You did good. Rhea smiled when she saw Reuben finished absorbing the special magic core so quickly. Thank you, Master. Reuben was happy and even his tone was a bit jumpy. Samuel was silent after hearing that wavy tone from Reuben. He silently rubbed his ear, feeling that his friend had started to awaken some strange attribute. I have prepared a few more books for you and I hope that you can study them carefully. They contain formations and not runes. Formation will be more complicated. Reuben sighed deeply. A formation was supported by a large number of runes and most of the time, a formation required other energy source. Because a magician's mana was definitely far from enough to be able to support such a big formation's operation. Take your time. You don't have to learn everything overnight, Rhea said with a smile. Yes, Master. Reuben. I hope you don't forget that you're also my assistant. Samuel felt his temple throbbed when he saw Reuben's action. He could see that Reuben was trying to flatter Rhea, but his action was a bit annoying to see. Reuben let out a dry laugh when he heard Samuel's words. Don't worry, I won't forget such a thing. It was simply impossible for him to forget that. Do you have any thoughts about which path you want to focus on? Rhea suddenly asked, remembering that Sean was so troubled with this matter not long ago. But seeing Reuben's mana, Rhea knew that Reuben was not troubled like Sean. Perhaps this was because Reuben is older than Sean. He's about to hit 30, right? She was not entirely sure because she didn't know when Reuben's birthday is, but she knew that Samuel, Reuben, Stephen, and Arnold were more or less around the same age. They should be born on the same year but different date. Reuben had experienced many things before, So when he was facing the fact that he had to split his time and worked as both Samuel's assistant and also training as magician and runemaster, he was still calm. Besides, meditation could replace sleep. Riyah estimated that Reuben hadn't truly slept for a long time and replaced it all with meditation. I'll probably focus on both of them since I can do it. Reuben chuckled. I'm used to be Samuel's assistant and it'll not hinder my practice and all. Besides, it was impossible for him to meditate and practice runes all day long. He just had to control his time well and make time for his practice. But if possible, I would like to stay in City A base instead of going out. Reuben scratched the back of his head. For him, it would not make much difference to his life. The runes are indeed good and magic would help to protect his life, but his own talent might not be very high. He didn't have the ambitions to fight on the front line all the time, so he would rather go back. Many rune masters and magicians were usually also staying on the back because their physical strength was not the best. Reuben is following this path, so he felt that he would be more useful to stay in City A base. I can make that arrangement. I'm sure my father will be happy to have a full-time assistant. Samuel shrugged, not caring too much about it. Reuben looked at Samuel blankly. You also have to go back and work, Samuel. I know. Thinking about the pile of work waiting for him in City A base, Samuel sighed deeply. It was indeed his fault for becoming the leader of City A base even if it was only in name. There was no way for him to miss the work that he had to do. Well, it couldn't be helped. He had to work. By the way, you have reached the peak of rank 4, right? Riyah looked at Reuben up and down. Seeing that he had reached the peak of rank 4, Riyah handed over a rank 5 special magic core to him. This is? Reuben was stunned. The complete rank 5 special magic core, Riyah replied calmly. You can take it later tonight after you finish your meditation training and push your condition to the peak. After taking it, you should be able to reach rank 5. Rank 5. Reuben's eyes shone when he heard Riyah's words. Due to the fact that he's training as a runemaster in his work, his rank was actually lower than Stephen. The two of them were both magicians and had reached rank 4, but if one were to talk about their mana quantity alone, Reuben was actually far behind Stephen. After all, he had many things to do. Of course, you have to trade your own contribution points to get the magic spells from the government. I can't really help you much here. Riyah pointed out about another matter. While Riyah has enough contribution points, she wanted to exchange for some practical magic spells and try to see if she could make the specific formation or runes from these magic spells. She didn't know the price of these magic spells, but she could guess that they were expensive. Since Riyah didn't specifically gather contribution points, she might not have enough to trade for what Reuben might need. It's fine, Master. I have enough contribution points. Reuben chuckled. He had already checked those magic spells and their description. All he needed to do was to go back to City A base and trade it for them. Also, since you'll be using the special magic core, you might have to retrain your mana control again, Riyah reminded. She herself was fine because her own mana control had reached the level where she could even control the amount of mana that she took out from her body. It would not be difficult for her to bypass the ranks and so on. But Reuben is different. This was the first time he had reached rank 5 and the special magic core will definitely push him further. After that, what awaited him might be the fact that he couldn't control his strength well. I understand. Reuben nodded. Even though he would have to spend his time to train again, Reuben didn't care. Being able to get stronger faster was something that many people had dreamed in their entire life. Riyah still has more rank 5 special magic core and was thinking about what to do with it. After all, she couldn't give it to these people all the time. They were only following the simple paths that these returnees shared. Compared to the returnees who have various means, their needs for mana was far lower than them. Of course, if they were to make a good use of their talent, there was still a possibility for them to surpass the returnees after a long period of time. As for how long it is, Riyah didn't know and didn't think that she should give them false hope. Need for mana? If Riyah was not wrong, Reuben's element is dark element, which has practically saved his life when he did reckless things in the past. Riyah looked at Reuben and then smirked. Reuben, do you want to have more mana compared to other people of the same rank? Reuben saw Riyah's smile and suddenly had a bad feeling. Um, is it possible? Yes, I can engrave runes for you, but it'll be a bit painful, Ria replied. Is there any other advantage? You can use more mana than people of the same ranks, and the runes will make your element stronger, but at the same time, you will really need to spend more time practicing your mana control because it'll be harder for you to control your mana, Ria replied honestly. She had only remembered about this matter when she thought that Ruben has dark element. The dark element was a relatively special element, and there were not many people who knew about its special characteristic for Runemaster. Ria knew about it because she herself has dark element and her master mentioned it. For dark element Runemaster, there was a special path that they could take. When Ria remembered this, she felt that Ruben might be suitable. Even if he didn't have any plan to truly reach the peak, this could help him to increase his strength at the fastest speed possible. He will need more mana, though, so his speed might slow down instead. Disadvantage? Ruben asked again. Your training speed might slow down to a certain degree, Ria replied, because your need for mana in each stage will increase significantly. Just like her, having to use a lot of special magic cores to increase her strength. But at the same time, she's also far stronger than those of the same ranks. Right now, aside from the fact that she needed a lot of resources, she's definitely far stronger than many other people of the same ranks. It was also because all returnees have their own methods of getting stronger that they were able to deal with rank 7 magic beasts even before reaching rank 7 themselves. The price was indeed tragic, but they were not completely helpless. If they had followed the ordinary path, they would have never been able to reach that level. Then do it. Ruben grinned. If this meant that he could get stronger than those of the same ranks, then he will take this risk. He's not afraid, for he believed that Ria would not hurt him. Ria smiled and glanced at Samuel. Go to the room and I'll guard it, Samuel said calmly. He was curious about what Ria wanted to do, but he believed that she will not harm Ruben. All right, let's go. The two of them headed to the room and Samuel stood by the door. He could sense mana fluctuation from inside the room, but he stayed there quietly and saw that Stephen had also finished. It seems that your mana control is the second best in the group, Samuel commented. I'm a magician, so it's natural that I'm better than Magic Warrior. Stephen shrugged and then he glanced at the door before looking at Samuel again. What is it? Is there any way for me to get stronger faster? Stephen asked. After taking that rank 5 special magic core, he had already reached the peak of rank 4 and he felt that with a little tug, he will be able to reach rank 5. But Stephen had the feeling that this rank was far from enough for him to deal with the Carson family. Those greedy B***stards would never feel enough unless they have enough strength. Besides, Stephen also knew that the Carson family had reached some cooperation deal with the Magic Association. If he couldn't get stronger faster, there might be some people who wanted to trample on top of them. No, Samuel said while looking at Stephen. He narrowed his eyes and said, you should focus on reaching rank 5, and after Sophia had reached sufficient strength, go with her and the army to explore the crack. What you can find is yours, and I'll give you the map so that you can go to the most suitable place for practice. Stephen's eyes widened when he heard Samuel's words before he smirked. Thanks. Rather than giving resources directly, Samuel was basically training them to become elites on their own. Because at the end of the day, it was impossible for Samuel to protect them all the time. They needed strength to stand up on their own. If it was Amelia, then Samuel would not hesitate to pile up resources for her. But he's not Samuel's brother and only good friend. He also had his pride and wanted to get stronger on his own so that he could protect his sister and stand against his greedy relatives. Samuel nodded. He heard muffled groans from inside the room and his eyes narrowed slightly. Even though he knew that Ria did say the process will be painful, it was still not very pleasant to hear it from outside like this. Stephen didn't say anything else and waited beside Sophia. Inside the room, Ruben was sitting with Ria behind him. Her hand was placed on the back as she continued to draw the runes. To be honest, this kind of runes were usually drawn by the Runemaster for themselves, because only in this way could they guarantee their own absolute safety and the fact that no one else will know about the existence of the runes. But Ria didn't tell Ruben. The main reason was because Rhea knew that for Ruben to be able to make such runes would take a few more years at the very least. Since he didn't follow the path of a Runemaster to the extreme, there was no need for him to use this kind of runes. Swish! Ugh! Ruben felt that his heart hurt so much. He didn't know what kind of runes that Rhea used, but he felt as if his heart was swallowed and squeezed hard. It was really hard for him not to scream when he felt the tremendous pain. Yet, at the same time, Ruben could feel that the mana around him was slowly following the runes and entered his heart. Is his mana going to increase in this way? Ruben couldn't help but think about it that way. Rhea didn't say anything and continued to proceed with drawing the runes. She was calm and composed as she finished drawing the runes and then retracted her hand. The moment the runes were finished, Ruben felt the pain disappeared as if it has never been there, and then he felt that the amount of mana in his heart had increased at least 4 times than before. Ruben opened his eyes and turned around. How is this possible? Do you feel it? Rhea arched her eyebrows. It seemed that Ruben's mana sensitivity was good, or it might be because he will reach rank 5 soon. The runes expanded your mana capacity on the principle of your own dark element. The dark element will keep on absorbing mana to keep the runes operating, so you don't have to worry about your mana capacity going back to the way it was before. After hearing Rhea's words, Ruben's eyes widened in astonishment. Space-related runes? Yes. Only space-related runes could possibly create such an effect like this. Moreover, Ruben himself might be able to make the first rank space storage scroll, but if he was asked to make rank 2 and above, he couldn't do it at all. The requirement for mana control and even the runes control was extremely high. So high that Ruben didn't have the confidence that he would be able to do it anytime soon. No, even if he was given a long time, Ruben didn't have that confidence. Thank you, Master. Rhea nodded and then moved away. By the way, if other people ask you to do this, you should refuse. Exposing your mana heart to other rune masters can be fatal. Ruben was stunned for a moment and then grinned. I know, Master. He only did this because he knew that Rhea will not hurt him. If she wanted to hurt him, there were countless more easier methods for her to do so, and he was basically in passive situation when facing her. Besides, having known Rhea for some time, Ruben knew her temperament more or less. Those whom she treated as her friends would never be hurt by her. Good. Rhea opened the door and saw Samuel was still standing there. She arched her eyebrows and said, It's done. Thanks. No problem. Samuel glanced at Ruben and saw that he was fine. But the abundance of mana from Ruben still made him arch his eyebrows. Ruben's mana amount might even be comparable with him, who was almost 2 full ranks higher than him. After Ruben reaching rank 5, it was estimated that his mana amount would surpass him. Rhea is really generous. You're not suitable for that rune even if you want to, Rhea interrupted when she saw Samuel looking at Ruben. No, I don't need that much mana. Samuel shook his head. Many of my magic spells are accompanied by physical skills, so the mana requirement is not very high, but the requirement for physical strength and skills are high. Rhea nodded blankly. After her advancement to rank 7, her physical strength was only comparable to rank 4 magic warriors. The runes she carved for herself will allow her to strengthen her physical strength through mana conversion. But it would still need a long time. She was no longer in a hurry, though. In her own estimation, it would take her a few years for her to advance to rank 8 unless she could get a lot of special resources.